The first letter said I owed the HOA $800 a day. I actually laughed when I opened it because my property isn't even inside their neighborhood. But by the third letter, the laughter stopped. The fines were stacking up, $5,600, then $11,200, and according to them, if I didn't pay immediately, they would file a lien on my land. My land. The same 12 acres my grandfather bought in 1974, years before their cookie-cutter subdivision even existed. Apparently, my violation was refusing to remove the fence along my eastern boundary. The fence that has stood there for over 30 years. The fence that marks the exact line between my pasture and their manicured lawns. I ignored the first warning. I even ignored the second. But when a certified envelope arrived with bold red letters threatening foreclosure, I realized this wasn't just neighborhood drama. This was a calculated move. I drove down to their next board meeting, letter in hand, and sat quietly in the back while they discussed landscaping budgets and parking complaints. When my turn came, I asked a simple question. "Can you show me exactly where my property falls under your HOA authority?" The president smirked. She slid a printed subdivision map across the table and tapped the edge of my pasture. "Right there," she said confidently. "You're within our extended jurisdiction." Extended jurisdiction. That phrase alone told me they were either bluffing or betting I wouldn't check. I went home that night and pulled out the old metal filing cabinet in my garage, the one my grandfather kept every document in. Deeds, tax receipts, hand-drawn sketches of boundary lines. And buried in a faded folder was something interesting, the original county survey map from 1974. The lines didn't match what the HOA president showed me, not even close. According to this document, my eastern boundary extended 6 feet further than their subdivision wall, meaning their decorative brick entrance sign might actually be sitting on my land. I stared at that survey for a long time, trying to understand how they could be so wrong. Were they careless, or did they know something I did? The next morning, another letter arrived, this time stating the total balance had reached $16,000 and legal action was being prepared. That's when I realized this wasn't just about a fence. If they could bully me into paying, they'd quietly absorb that strip of land and rewrite the narrative. But what they didn't know was that I wasn't relying on guesswork. I had the original survey, and something about that brick entrance sign suddenly didn't look so decorative anymore. The question was, if the sign was really on my property, how far was I willing to push this? And what would happen when the board realized the land under their proud neighborhood entrance might not belong to them at all? The next morning, I didn't call the HOA, I called a licensed surveyor. If they wanted to play maps, I was going to play with measurements. 2 days later, bright orange flags started appearing along the edge of my pasture, stretching uncomfortably close to their polished brick entrance sign. Neighbors slowed their cars to stare. By noon, the surveyor walked up to me holding fresh printouts and said the words I was half expecting but still couldn't believe. The original 1974 survey was correct. The HOA's subdivision wall and their decorative entrance monument were sitting nearly 4 feet inside my legal boundary. 4 feet may not sound like much, but legally, it was everything. I didn't threaten them, I didn't argue. I simply sent a certified letter with a copy of the updated survey, highlighting the encroachment, and included a very calm sentence. "Please advise when you will be removing your structure from my property." 3 days of silence followed. No fines, no emails, no bold red letters. Then suddenly an emergency HOA meeting was announced. This time when I walked in, there was no smirk. The president looked pale. Their attorney was sitting beside her. She started talking about mapping discrepancies and historic misunderstandings, but I stopped her with one simple question. "Before we continue, are you still planning to fine me $800 a day?" The room went quiet. Their lawyer leaned forward, cleared his throat, and said they would be reviewing all previous violations. Reviewing, that's a funny word for backing down. I then mentioned something else I had quietly researched. In our state, knowingly fining a property owner outside your jurisdiction could open the HOA up to damages. The attorney's expression changed instantly. Within a week, I received a formal letter stating all fines were rescinded. Another week later, construction crews carefully dismantled the brick entrance sign and rebuilt it several feet back on land they actually owned. No apology, no admission, just quiet compliance. And here's the part that still amazes me. If I had just paid the first letter out of fear, that strip of land would have slowly become theirs by default. How many other homeowners have paid fines without ever checking a survey? How many HOAs push boundaries, literally, because they assume no one will challenge them? So I have to ask you, if you received an $800 a day fine, would you have paid it? Or would you have pulled the records and fought back? And if you enjoy stories where the truth flips the power dynamic, make sure you like and subscribe, because sometimes the most powerful weapon against intimidation isn't anger, it's paperwork.